Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's review we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Earthrise Deluxe class Bluestreak. And here we have Bluestreak fully transformed up into his vehicle mode, and this is a really nice looking repaint. Bringing him in for a closer look, you can see that similarly to the Siege version of Bluestreak, Hasbro and Takara Tomy have cast this figure in a really nice looking grey. It's definitely not a drab colour like we're used to with some of our other Transformers releases. It has this almost metallic flake to it, which I think gives it a rather premium feel. And we've got this black section here which is indeed completely painted, and all of the paint apps on this have come out really nice and precise. We've got the Autobot insignia there as well as the blue transparent headlights. Unfortunately, they have opted to just repaint the Transformers Earthrise Deluxe Prowl, and they haven't retooled this front section in order to give Bluestreak his more accurate Nissan Fairlady appearance, and that to me is a real missed opportunity. I think that it would have been great if they could have given all of these Datsun Brothers unique front sections here for the vehicle modes, as it would have really helped to differentiate them when in vehicle mode and robot mode, and in my opinion would have made this figure slightly more unique other than just being a direct repaint. You can see that we do have this almost blue tint there to the plastic. However, in my opinion, I do wish that it was a slightly darker tint, similarly to what we got with Earthrise Prowl. The weapons here are exactly the same to what we got with Smokescreen, however this time have been cast in a grey plastic. And as we turn around to the back, you can see here the transparent piece of plastic for the rear section of the vehicle mode. And then the back here is also really nicely detailed with some really nice red and black paint applications there for the rear tail lights. As we turn around to the underside, you can see that it does fold up exactly the same way to that of Prowl. And overall, I think that it's quite a nice looking vehicle mode. However, in my opinion, I would have greatly appreciated it if they would have just given us a slightly retooled section here for the front piece of the vehicle mode. In terms of rolling, he does roll very nicely, similarly to what we got with both Smokescreen and Prowl. And for a comparison, bringing in the Deluxe Class Smokescreen, and of course here his mould mate, the Deluxe Class Prowl, you can see that they are very similar in terms of molds. However, in my opinion, as stated before, I really do think that the altercations here to the front bumper section really help to set this mold apart in terms of a comparison. You can see that Smokescreen here looks drastically different when compared to both of these, and that's because he's got a completely different front section. If they would have just retooled this ever so slightly, perhaps they'd given us a slightly recessed section here for the front headlights, I think that would have greatly helped to set this figure apart. But as you can see here, bringing in Prowl for a closer look, this figure is just a direct reuse of the Earthrise Prowl mould, which is a really awesome mould as it is based on the Earthrise Smokescreen. And here for a Bluestreak size comparison, here we have the Earthrise version compared next to the Cybertronian Siege version, and you can definitely see the continuity in terms of the colour scheme, and as stated before, they do share very similar colour schemes in terms of the shade of plastic used. The Siege version may be slightly lighter of a colour, but it still has that metallic flake to it, which I think looks quite cool, and you can see that on both the releases, the hubcaps have been painted silver. Something which I would have liked to have seen here on the Earthrise version would have been if they could have painted the blaster here silver, similarly to what they did here with the Siege version. But nonetheless, I still think that these are quite cool, and you can see that the Siege Cybertronian version of Bluestreak is actually quite significantly larger when compared here next to the Earthrise vehicle mode. So perhaps Cybertronian vehicles are a little bit more robust in terms of their appearance, but you can see really nice continuity. You can definitely see the evolution between Bluestreak travelling to Earth and rescanning a vehicle mode, and I think that that looks really, really cool. Turning now to transformation, to begin with, of course, you're just going to want to remove the blaster here at the top. You're going to want to pop open these side doors. You can see that they do tab in via these two slots. I won't be showing the reverse transformation for this review, as I have already previously done that for both the Earthrise Smokescreen as well as the Earthrise Prowl review, so if you do wish to see the reverse transformation, be sure to check out their reviews. But just extend this whole section here, and then extend the legs, rotate this around, separate here the legs, fold in these inner sections, and then just flip down the heel spurs. The colour scheme in robot mode looks really nice, and then just hinge these pieces out. You can see how the red contrasts very nicely there with the grey plastic. Pop this section through, and then just align this up, and just slide this all the way down. And you can see a tab there that will slide into this notch. Just snap that nice and securely into place. And we do have some tabs under here that will tab into these sections, so just slide those in. Hinge that all the way down, and there we have Bluestreak fully transformed. So once again, a very simplistic transformation, however in my opinion is very effective. And now taking a look here at the robot mode, first of all I just wanted to demonstrate just how well articulated this figure is and how poseable he is. I really do think that this is a very awesome mould. You can see that he can easily pull off a standing on one leg whilst running pose, which some Transformers figures just cannot pull off due to tolerances and balance issues. But here with this mould, it has no problems whatsoever. Straightening him out though and bringing him in for a closer look so that we can inspect the details. As stated before, this is just a direct reuse to that of the Earthrise Prowl mould, which if anything makes me appreciate the Prowl mould slightly less now we're taking a look here at Bluestreak, as I do believe Prowl should have perhaps had a completely different head sculpt, and you can see that this one here is designed to go with Bluestreak, so I do think that Prowl's head sculpt was perhaps slightly lazy, and perhaps I was too quick to actually praise that sculpt, but you can see here for Bluestreak, I think that it looks really nice, all the crisp detailing, and it definitely suits the character. I love the gunmetal silver that they've used here for the helmet. I wish that we could have seen some of this distributed throughout the figure, as it's absolutely fantastic. A really nice looking premium paint deco. Once again, the Autobot insignia, and we've got the shoulder guns there, which are exactly the same to what we got with Smokescreen, however this time cast in a grey plastic, and you can see here the same blaster and all of the same detailings. I really do like how the red contrasts with the grey as well as the blacks. I think that looks super cool, and overall I think that Hasbro and Takara Tomy have done a really nice job in capturing Bluestreak's appearance. As we turn around to the back, you can see that this is just a really nice mould in general, especially here when we've got these inner sections that fill out where the hollow gaps are. Of course they don't fill them out completely, but it's nice just to hide that and slightly conceal that gap, so I really do appreciate that extra piece of detailing. And then as we turn to the back, you can see some nice sculpt work there for the inner doors. So in all, it's just a really nice looking mould. In terms of articulation, we do have a ball joint here at the head, so this can look left to right as well as up and down. Full 360 rotation here at the arms. They can also hinge out to the sides. Full 360 rotation here at the bicep. You can see here that they have decided to actually paint these sections here red as opposed to casting them in red plastic, similarly to what they've done here for the thighs and the torso. I think that's quite an odd design choice, however the colour match here I think works quite nicely. We do get a hinge joint here at the elbow, full 360 rotation here at the wrists, as well as a full 360 rotation there at the waist. The legs can kick forwards that far as well as back to about that far. He can do the split, full 360 rotation at the thigh, well over 90-degree bend there at the knee due to the hollow nature of the inner section of the leg, and then finally the foot can pivot forwards and backwards as well as pivot side to side. So in terms of articulation for a deluxe class, I think that he's one of the best out of the War for Cybertron toy line. Just in terms of the range of motion you are able to get out of the joints. And here for an Earthrise mould comparison, here we have Bluestreak compared next to both Earthrise Prowl as well as here next to Earthrise Smokescreen, and my main complaint still retains in saying that I really do wish that they could have remoulded this front section here just to give it a slightly different look when compared to some of the other figures. I think that seeing as they didn't alter the head sculpts between these two releases, a new chest section was more than warranted, as we got a brand new chest section when we compared both Smokescreen here to Prowl. So I definitely think that is something they could have achieved, even if they would have just slightly recessed the headlights in to make it appear more realistic to the Nissan Fairlady. But nonetheless, I still think that it's a really awesome mould, and I think that the colour scheme here works really nicely. He looks drastically different when compared here next to some of his mould mates, and in my opinion definitely overthrows the Siege version. And here for a Bluestreak size comparison and just general comparison, here we have the Siege Cybertronian version compared here next to the Earthrise Earth Mode version, and you can really see the similarities here in the colour scheme, especially where the red, blacks and greys are all distributed. So I really do like the continuity and overall look between the two characters. You can definitely see an evolution here, and something quite surprising to see is that they did use a very similar gunmetal silver here for the shoulders to what they used here for the top section of Bluestreak's head. So I really do once again love that continuity there in terms of the colour scheme. Just giving you a side-by-side comparison, and then turning around to the back. In my opinion, I just really do prefer the Earth Mode look and the Earthrise mould in general. I think that the proportions look a lot nicer here with the Siege version. It really doesn't even look as if though he has feet. It does look really odd in my opinion. So definitely, I can highly recommend the Earth Mode version over the Siege version if you already haven't picked this one up. And here for one final comparison, here we have the Earthrise Bluestreak compared here next to the MP release. And as stated before when I did both my Smokescreen and Prowl review, I really do think Hasbro and Takara Tomy are doing an exceptional job in making mainline figures really faithful to even their MP counterparts. You can definitely see the similarities here. Of course, the MP version has a lot more components due to its drastically increased price point, but just comparing them for a mainline deluxe, I think that this is a really awesome figure. But once again, you can see in what I was stating earlier on in regards to this front torso area, I really wish that he had a chest design which better matched the MP release in terms of where the front headlights sit. Perhaps if they were slightly more recessed into this piece and he had a slightly larger bumper section like what we have here with the MP release, this figure wouldn't feel as lazy as it does, or perhaps the Prowl version wouldn't feel as lazy as it now does, as I really do think they could have engineered some new components here, especially there with the torso. But nonetheless, setting that minor critique off to the side, I still do think that this is a really awesome looking release. And so that was my review for the Transformers Earthrise Deluxe Class Bluestreak. Personally, I actually really do enjoy this repaint. I do think that his colour scheme drastically alters his appearance and really does help to set him apart from both Smokescreen and of course here with Prowl. More so with Prowl, as both of these figures are exactly the same, and that is probably where my major critique lies with this release. I really do wish that either Prowl here had a new head sculpt or that Bluestreak had a slightly retooled and remoulded component here for the front torso to better match his MP release, and in my opinion that would have greatly helped to differentiate all three of these from one another, as both Smokescreen and Prowl here have different front sections. It would have been nice here if Bluestreak could have got the same treatment and would have had some form of retooling done to him, but nonetheless, for what he is, just a simple repaint, I do think that it works really nicely. In my opinion, I think that this is a figure that is leaps and bounds better than that of the Transformers Siege release. I really do love this mould, and to get this in a repaint here for Bluestreak, I'm more than happy with. Unfortunately, I can't really see them reusing this awesome mould at any time in the future, unless perhaps they're going to do an Earthrise version of Barricade, which I very much doubt they're going to do, as the Earthrise toy line does appear as if though it's ending very soon, with the Transformers Kingdom toy line taking over as the third chapter in the War for Cybertron trilogy, which in my opinion is slightly unfortunate, as I think they could have done so many more characters with this line. But nonetheless, Bluestreak here is a really awesome repaint, and if you can manage to get your hands on him, then I highly recommend him. I really do hope that you enjoyed this review. If you did, please do let me know down in the comment section below, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.